And welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our 5 best bets for college basketball here on Sunday, January 12th. And we have a smaller slate today here on Sunday than we did at least yesterday. And the primary focus of today's video is going to be Big Ten basketball, as we've got 3 Big Ten games to give you best bets for tonight. Obviously yesterday, a monster slate of college basketball, and the headlines for me personally, hell, I mean, how about the Pit, man? New Mexico going out there and blowing out the Aztecs of San Diego State, and then closing the night with a huge win out of UCI, going on the road to UC San Diego. I told you guys Irvine was the best team in the Big West Conference, and what happened? They went to UC San Diego, and they didn't just cover, they won the game outright as well. I keep trying to tell you guys about the Anteaters. They are for real. The defense that team plays, it's suffocating. So we've got 5 best bets today for college basketball. And folks, if you have not yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. In a couple hours, we will have our daily NBA predictions on the channel as well. It's been kind of odd recently in the NBA. Hell, we had 7 games scheduled for yesterday. We only ended up seeing 4 games because 3 got canceled. So we'll get to all of that and more in a couple hours when we talk about the National Basketball Association. And also, folks, make sure to go check out our NFL predictions in a couple hours. The Bills and Broncos kick off, then the Eagles and Packers, and then the nightcap, the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Make sure to check out that video that is linked in the description down below. And now let's get into the first of our 5 best bets for college basketball here today, and we are starting in Evanston, Illinois. Give me Michigan State on the road. Okay, guys, Northwestern, this might come back to bite me in the ass, because whenever we have picked against Northwestern, they've somehow come out on the right end of it. Now, they went to Penn State, did not win. They went to Purdue, did not win. Their only win so far in Big Ten play is the home victory against Illinois, a fantastic basketball game that the Wildcats ended up winning in overtime. Martinelli with 27, a huge result for Northwestern. They haven't been all that great since, though. They just haven't. I mean, they beat DePaul, but anyone beats DePaul. Georgia Tech, okay. Northeastern, expected. Back-to-back losses to kick off 2025. Again, both Big Ten games on the road against Penn State and on the road against Purdue. Prior to the Illinois win, they lost on the road to Iowa. Yes, they do get Michigan State at home in this basketball game, but I'm going with Sparty. I'm taking Michigan State to go into Northwestern and win. Again, it's been a lot of losing in the Big Ten so far this year for Northwestern. They've only got 1 win. And yes, the Illinois victory is a great victory. And the way the Fighting Illini have been playing this season, that's a very good win. But as a whole, though, Northwestern's still 1-3. Again, Nick Martinelli is a fantastic basketball player. This is a guy who averages about 20 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. Brooks Barnser is really good as well. He's averaging 19. Northwestern, when their guys are on, they are playing phenomenal basketball. I get that. But I do think Michigan State is still the better team. Even though the game is going to be in Illinois, Michigan State, a 13-2 team this season so far. Their only losses this year against Kansas and then in Maui against Memphis. I believe, that was in Maui where they lost to Memphis. They have not lost since that November 26th loss again to the Memphis Tigers. A win against North Carolina after that in overtime. A win at Minnesota. Sure, everyone can do that, but still. A win against Nebraska. A win against FAU, Ohio State, Washington. And again, the dominance that Michigan State showed the other day on Thursday against Washington has to be talked about. And I get it. UW's not very good at basketball, and we're going to talk about the University of Washington basketball in a little bit, and probably know where we're going with that pick, but still, and they're playing, obviously, the Michigan Wolverines, but I like Michigan State in the spot here against Northwestern. I think they're the better basketball team. They're getting 2.5 points in the road. That's fine. If they are able to shut down Nick Martinelli, I think the entire team kind of just folds from underneath him. I think he's by far the best guy in this Northwestern squad. Northwestern and the Wildcats are the most dangerous when Nick Martinelli is having a big-time basketball game, but I think Michigan State's able to contain that, at least to, a degree where they're still going to be successful, obviously, in running their offense at the same time, right? I mean, you get Jaden Akins, you get Jace Richardson. Again, it's going to be Akins who is going to be leading the charge for the most part. Jackson Kohler is a very good big for Michigan State as well. I just feel as though Michigan State's the better team. Coming into this game ranked 16th this year. Their only losses all year, Kansas, Memphis. They are undefeated in Big Ten play so far this year with a win on the road in Minnesota, a win at home against Nebraska, in Columbus against Ohio State, and then just recently again, the dismantling of Washington that happened on Thursday. And Akins put up 20 points in that game. And again, Michigan State got out to such a hot start, and obviously UW wasn't able to come back from that. And again, that might be a theme with the University of Washington this season. I think they're by far the second worst team in the Big Ten. I can't give them the, distinction of being the worst team in the Big Ten because the Minnesota Golden Gophers exist. But regardless, I do think Michigan State's able to go in here and beat Northwestern. Again, Northwestern has lost 2 straight games in the Big Ten against Penn State and against Purdue. Sure, they've won their only home game so far in Big Ten play, but I do think Michigan State's able to come in here and beat them. I don't think students are back yet at Northwestern. I think they're back tomorrow, or at least they come back today. So I don't think the home court advantage is going to play too much of a factor in this basketball game. And ultimately, I just like Michigan State more. Again, we've seen Northwestern play 4 games so far in the Big Ten this year, and they've lost 3 or 4 of those games. I understand they've all been on the road. They just haven't been given the opportunity to lose at home yet. So this is where it's going to come. I like Michigan State to go on the road to Northwestern and win this basketball game. Give me the Spartans to cover the 2.5 points on the road and obviously win the game outright as well. Let's go on to our second game of the video, our second best bet. We continue with more Michigan basketball, at least in the state of Michigan basketball. We've got the Michigan Wolverines taking on the University of Washington Huskies. I like Michigan, and I like them by a lot. Okay, a lot of factors go into this one. The line is 14.5. I get it. It's a bunch of points. Do I like playing 14.5? No. Personally, this would not be the first thing I'd be scrambling to bet on Sunday. But I do think there is decent value in this. Michigan should be able to completely steamroll UW. I think there are 2 teams we can trust, especially on the road, to lose big. It's Washington and it's Minnesota. Minnesota is just, they're horrible. They got off to a decent start the other night against Wisconsin, and then the Badgers just ended up blowing them out, okay? Michigan's 4-0 so far in the Big Ten this year, right? Back-to-back victories in California. They go to USC and win. They go to UCLA and win. Earlier in the year, obviously, they win their other 2 Big Ten games. They go on the road to Madison, Wisconsin and win. And they hosted Iowa and they beat the Hawkeyes. Now they get Washington coming in to Ann Arbor. Here's the thing, guys. Michigan has played 4 dogfights so far in Big Ten play, right? The Iowa win was a 2-point victory. The Wisconsin win on the road was a 3-point game. Games on the road against USC and UCLA all the way in California, regardless of the score, those are somewhat difficult games for Michigan, obviously, because you got to go cross-country to play them. This is not a taxing game at all with Washington coming into town. Why? The Huskies just played Michigan State the other day. Again, we mentioned it earlier. They lost the game by 34 points. This is a conference game in the Big Ten. They've been out here in Michigan for 4 days now. They're about to go back home after this. You gotta think UW's somewhat checked out because the first game they played, they got blown out. Now you gotta go to Ann Arbor and play Michigan. Yeah, I don't like it. Again, this is a Washington team that this season lost to Seattle University. It's insane. They're in the same city. And Seattle University in the same city as the University of Washington that plays in the Big Ten. Seattle University can stake a claim, and they rightfully should. They're not that good, but still they can rightfully stake the claim that they are the best team in the city of Seattle. Because they went to UW and won. Washington's lost too many games this season. Nevada on the road in Reno. UCLA, USC, Seattle, Illinois, Michigan State, and what? They're paying Osabor all this money, and sure, he'll lead this team, but he's not leading them to that many victories. Osabor is averaging 14-8. Okay, how many games has UW won in the Big Ten this year? 1. When Maryland came to town, they beat him by 6 points. Maryland literally had to go from the Northeast all the way, to the Northwest. It's, that's going to happen sometimes. And now, do I think Washington can still go on the road and beat Minnesota? Probably. I think they can. That's February 1st. We're going to be locked in for that basketball game. But until then, I don't honestly think Washington wins a game in the Big Ten. They got Michigan tonight, or this morning, obviously. They got Purdue after that. Oregon, UCLA. They're not winning a game until they get to Minnesota. And even if there's a chance they lose at Minnesota, I can see it. But guys, who's going to win this game for Washington, or who's going to keep this game close for Washington? It's going to be Osabor, Zoom Diallo, Tyler Harris potentially. Tyler Harris can shoot it. I'll give him that. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with Washington at all. Michigan has the better team. There are two teams right now that are undefeated in Big Ten play. They are Michigan and Michigan State, and Washington has to play them in back-to-back games. Yeah, you know damn well Michigan's going to try to put it on this team. 100%. They are going to try to put it on Washington, just like Michigan State did the other day. Michigan's led by Goldine, who's averaging 15. You get Trey Donaldson averaging 13. Danny Wolf, Roddy Gale, this is a solid team. This is a solid Michigan team that should just put belt to ass in this game. It's that simple. Washington can't hang with these better Big Ten teams, and honestly, they can't really hang with a lot of these Big Ten teams. Again, I understand why Washington's in the Big Ten. They should be in the Big Ten. They need it for football, obviously, but for basketball, guys, they're just not right now able to hang with a lot of these squads. It's that simple. Give me Michigan, 14.5. I understand it feels like a lot because it is a lot of points. But trust me on this one, Washington is not on the same level as Michigan. If you thought Michigan State was bad, this one's going to be bad too. I don't know if it's going to be worse, but it's going to be pretty bad. Give me the Michigan Wolverines here at home in Ann Arbor to cover the 14.5 points and put a complete whooping on the Washington Huskies, who are just not going to show up to play. They're not going to show up, okay? Give me Michigan. Next up, we go to a Big 12 matchup, and it's an interesting one. We've got the number 21 ranked West Virginia Mountaineers going on the road to Boulder to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. Hear me out. Again, you're going to have to listen to me for the pick because the odds are even. I'm going with Colorado at home. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Okay, they've lost 3 in a row. I get it. We're going to take the home team here. Colorado is very due for a win in the Big 12. They're very due, right? Okay, hear me out. First game Iowa State comes into town to Boulder, and okay, the Cyclones beat Colorado. Big shocker. Then Arizona State. Okay, Colorado's got to go to Tempe. They lose. All right. They go to Orlando and almost go on the road and beat UCF. Sure, again, should Colorado win that game? Potentially, but they played a very close game on the road, and I understand UCF's not that great, but still, they went on the road to UCF and played a competitive basketball game. All right. For West Virginia, for the Mountaineers, okay, this is a team that is 2-1 this year in the Big 12. They've got a win on the road, obviously going to Lawrence and upsetting Kansas. It was a tremendous victory, something that nobody saw coming. Then they beat Oklahoma State. Then they get Arizona. Arizona comes to Morgantown, and the Mountaineers lose by 19 points. West Virginia now goes on the road to Colorado. I don't know. I think Colorado is able to get them here. WVU, again, their game over Kansas, call it a fluke, call it whatever you want to call it. It was a good victory. Again, the Arizona loss, though, at home really just stands out. Again, I don't care how good Arizona is. Losing them by 19 points in your own building, it's a little embarrassing. It just is, right? WVU led by Javon Small, who's averaging 19 points per game, obviously. They are still without Tucker DeVries, who's been out since the Georgetown game in early December. So again, it has been a lot of Javon Small. You get Amani Hansberry as well. You get Jonathan Powell, but again, Javon Small is doing pretty much everything, at least scoring-wise, for this Mountaineers squad, averaging about 20 points a game. He's averaging 25 and 5 for this WVU team. And for Colorado, you do get Julian Hammond, who is leading their team in scoring with 13.5. Again, though, Colorado, I would say, plays a little bit better defensive ball than West Virginia, especially, again, if Colorado is going to win, it's going to be a little bit more low scoring. But honestly, WVU only put up 67 points against Mercyhurst. Yeah, I don't know. The Big 12 is confusing sometimes. It is. Guys, I think these two teams are evenly matched. I honestly think so. But I think the difference maker in this basketball game is that the game is being played in Boulder. I really think so, honestly. And I get it. Oh, West Virginia's, only game on the road so far this year in Big 12 play was their win over Kansas. Guys, they're not gonna, that's a once in a lifetime type of thing for the Mountaineers, going to Lawrence and beating the top 10 ranked Jayhawks. Let's just be honest with ourselves. The Arizona game kind of puts West Virginia, I'm not gonna say back in their place, but it's kind of what we expected out of West Virginia this season. A middling team in the Big 12, but when they play the better teams, they get blown out, right? And again, I don't know if getting blown out is the right way of putting it, but I don't know. Losing by 19 to Arizona, I get it. Arizona's undefeated in the Big 12 this year, but in your own building, I don't know. That was 5 days ago. I think Colorado takes advantage of it. I think the Buffaloes win this basketball game. I am a little split on it, I'm not going to lie. But again, we got a small sample size today to pick from, so this is one of the games we have to. Again, I think the game being in Boulder makes a big difference. Again, We're in this new Big 12, West Virginia all the way out in Boulder, Colorado. It is a long trip, and I do think the Buffaloes do go out here and pick up the victory. -1.5 for Colorado. Keep the points, just take the money line. It should be about even right now. It opened at about even. Hopefully it doesn't shift too much in the 6 hours until this video drops. I'm taking the Colorado Buffaloes here at home to beat West Virginia. We've picked them before this season. I don't mind the Buffs that much. Give me Colorado at home here against WVU. Next up, we go quickly out of some of the, the big conferences, and we go to the American. Obviously, we're talking about Charlotte and Tulsa. Guys, what has happened to the Charlotte 49ers since they left that tournament in Hawaii? They played their double overtime game against Murray State that they just, outlasted the Racers in, and then they lost to Charleston on Christmas, and then they lose to Tulane when they get back into AAC play. They lose to Rice. They lose to FAU. They're now on a 4-game losing streak, and they're 0-3 in conference. And you're telling me they're going to go to Tulsa and win? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I wasn't planning on taking the Golden Hurricane that much this season, and I believe this is the first time we've talked about the Golden Hurricane, but we're taking them here. Give me Tulsa at home. Guys, this is a team that's going to be led by Keaston Willis, who's averaging 13.5 points per game. You get DeJuan Odom, who's averaging 13, Tyshawn Archie averaging 12, and Isaiah Barnes, who averages 10 points a night. I think the Golden Hurricane are okay. I think they're all right. They're 1-2 in American play so far this year, losing to Rice, losing to UAB on the road where they got decimated. I'm not going to lie, losing the game by 22. But, hey, they went to San Antonio and they beat the Roadrunners of UTSA by 5 points. Well, that will play. That will play. It was Braden Carrington, who I believe, he's a bench player for this Tulsa team, who absolutely erupted for 20 points. This is a guy who, in his game prior against UAB, dropped 2 points. Instead, in the UTSA game, he comes off the bench, plays 30 minutes, and drops 20 points. Okay, if that bench production, that type of bench production can continue to, be a thing for Tulsa, hey, it'll play. It will play. For the 49ers, though, again, they win that double overtime game against Murray State. They've been kind of just ever since. Now, again, I got a chance to watch a lot of Charlotte basketball, obviously, in this tournament because they were the late night game against Murray State. When that game was played, it ended at about, midnight my time. So it was a very late basketball game. Obviously, it's only 9 or 10 in Hawaii, but that's why, again, it was airing so late on ESPN, and there was nothing else on, so I was stuck watching Charlotte and Murray State, and I had Murray State in the double overtime game, so that's great. But what I can tell you about this Charlotte team, Nick Graves is their best player. When he's on, Charlotte has their best chance of winning. He dropped 5 points, though, in 27 minutes in their loss to FAU on Wednesday, okay? That's not going to cut it for Charlotte. So, again, with Graves not playing well, especially, again, in that FAU game, the Tulane game dropped 14 points. He dropped 31 in the victory over Murray State in double overtime. This is a guy who is a good shooter, and when he's on, again, he's great. Giancarlo Rosado. This is a guy, again, who dropped 23 points in the Murray State victory. He has not replicated anything like that since, let's just be honest with ourselves. Kind of back to the numbers that we saw him post prior to that Hawaii tournament, 10 points a game, anywhere from 4 to 8 rebounds a night. And then there's Robert Braswell, who kind of needs to get a job. He's been playing college basketball. No, he definitely needs to get a job. Robert Braswell has been playing college basketball since 2018, where he made his debut with the Syracuse Orange. He's still playing. It's 2025 now, pal. It's been 7 years. But Braswell still, contributes to the squad, but he is the third option, and in the last 2 games for Charlotte, he's put up 6 and 5 points respectively. That's not gonna cut it. All that's the reason why we're taking Tulsa. So honestly, guys, this isn't much of a Golden Hurricane pick, as it's we don't really like the Charlotte 49ers pick. So I'm not picking the 8th-year senior Robert Braswell. Giancarlo Rosado can play, so can Nick Graves. But again, they have not been hot recently, and ever since they left Hawaii, they have not been the same team. Tulsa just went on the road and beat UTSA, and, beating the Roadrunners, not the greatest victory, but still, they just went on the road and won. They return home now to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I do like Tulsa to pick up the win at home. So we're getting, -2.5 for the Golden Hurricane, -145. We are taking Tulsa at home to dispatch of the Charlotte 49ers. To go to now 2-2 in American League play. We move on to the final best bet of the video, and we go to University Park, Pennsylvania for the 15th ranked Oregon Ducks taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Again, we said we're going to get back to the Big Ten, and again, here we are. I like Oregon here. I do like Oregon. We are going to continue to ride the Oregon wave. We took them against Ohio State and Columbus. They won as dogs. Now we're taking them as favorites at Penn State. Why? Penn State's been so unimpressive recently. It's just that simple. Now, we can talk about what they've done prior to the Indiana game, but I'm going to talk about what they've done since the Indiana game, well, including the Indiana game and then the Illinois game after. Okay, so we took Penn State. Last Sunday, we took them to beat Indiana, and we took them to cover as well. They lose the game by 6 points. Indiana today just lost to Iowa. I'm still not sold on Indiana Hoosiers basketball, but I guess it's better than last year, so there's a start. Regardless, Penn State loses at home to Indiana, and it's horrible. But you know what's even worse? They go on the road to Urbana-Champaign, and they lose the game by 39 points to the Illinois Fighting Illini. Where has Ace Baldwin gone? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Guys, Ace Baldwin in this Illinois game shot 0 for 6, played 15 minutes, and scored 0 points. 0 points. 0 points. Unless we get a crazy bounce back game against the Oregon Ducks, which I'm not anticipating, I think we're fine. Now, again, this is a nationally televised game on the Big Ten Network. It is what it is. But guys, we're not trusting Ace Baldwin. In fact, we're doing the absolute opposite. We're picking against Ace Baldwin. I'm purposely fading him because he has not been playing good basketball. It's been Nick Kern who's been the best player for Penn State. He's averaging 12 points right now, but last couple of games, Kern has been the best guy for the Nittany Lions. 21 points in the loss to the Hoosiers and 13 in the loss to the Fighting Illini, which, yes, that led Penn State in points on Wednesday. 13. Guys, this team lost to Rutgers early in the year, and we've talked at length about Rutgers' struggles trying to win basketball games with two amazing players in Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, and yet they still beat Penn State, though, which still confuses me because how did Penn State beat Purdue? Whatever. I'm not still mad about that. I'm not still mad at that. It was December 5th. I'm not still mad. Anyways, guys, that's really Penn State's only victory this year. Their only half-decent win is Purdue. Northwestern, I guess. I don't really care this game's in Pennsylvania because I just saw Indiana go to Penn State. So, damn it, if Indiana's able to go to Penn State and win, Oregon's able to go to Penn State and win. Okay? That's the way I see things here. Okay? Oregon, 15th ranked team in the country. Their 2 losses against Illinois, UCLA. But what have you done lately? They beat Maryland. They take care of the job there. Again, was it impressive? They needed to win. They didn't blow Maryland out, but they won. And they went on the road to Columbus and won that game, a game that we successfully predicted. I mean, Jackson Shelstad's been really good. Jackson Shelstad has put back-to-back very good games together. Nate Biddle, obviously the anchor of this team as well, averaging 14-8 for this Oregon team. But Shelstad's been really good as well. If he can continue to play the ball that he's been playing, I think we're more than fine here with the Oregon Ducks. Again, I just don't think Penn State's all that great, and the guy who's supposed to lead this team in Ace Baldwin just put up a goose egg and has not been playing phenomenal basketball and really has not played a great game in a while. So when the lights are the brightest, what's going to happen? Is Oregon going to go on the road to Penn State and win, or are the Nittany Lions going to randomly turn it around after losing back-to-back games against other Big Ten schools? No, they're not going to win this basketball game. Again, if Indiana is able to go to Penn State, then Oregon for sure should be able to go to Penn State and win this basketball game. So give me the Ducks here. Again, it might not be flashy, but give me Nate Biddle, give me Jackson Shelstad, and give me the Oregon Ducks to go on the road to University Park and win this basketball game. It's the final game we're predicting today, and it's a 1 p.m. game over at University Park. But hell, the final game of the entire slate today is at 2, and that's UAB and FAU. Interesting game. I'm staying away, though. Folks, thank y'all for watching our 5 best bets for college basketball here on January 12th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball bets. Make sure to join us in a couple hours as well for NBA predictions. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.